session where we're going to continue with the review of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And guess what? Just guess what? Today we are reviewing the last chapter of this book, chapter 16, which is titled The Devil's Workshop, the seventh basic evil. Wow. So in this chapter, we're going to be learning a lot about the mind. If you have seen the thumbnail, it says control your mind or it controls you. The devil's workshop has to do a lot with the mind, our reasoning, our thinking faculty. So you are most welcome. Good evening, everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good day. Hello, hello, hello from wherever you're watching us. All right. So I would like you to have an open mind as we discuss this final chapter. If you have been joining this review from the beginning, I want you to give yourself a pat on the back. You know what? I actually said a short prayer for you before coming live this evening that God will allow you to see the truth in this book, even if you have not gotten anything from the first chapter till now. This time, I pray that God will open your inner eyes. I pray that there will be a positive shift in you. I pray that your mind is going to be receptive. All right. So yesterday we talked about the 6 basic fears. So let's read chapter 16. In addition to the 6 basic fears, there is another evil by which people suffer. It constitutes a rich soil in which the seeds of failure grows abundantly. It is so subtle that its presence is often not detected. This affliction cannot properly be classed as fear. It is more deeply seated and more often fatal than all of the 6 fears. For want of a better name, let us call this evil susceptibility to negative influences, as in you being easily given or controlled by negative influences. People will accumulate great riches, always protect themselves against this evil. The poverty-stricken people never do. So if you see anybody that has accumulated great riches, you see anybody who is wealthy, their minds are not susceptible to negative influences. But if you see anybody who is poor, there is a high tendency that that person is easily controlled by negative influences. Those who succeed in any calling must prepare their minds to resist this evil. If you are reading this philosophy for the purpose of accumulating riches, you should examine yourself very carefully to determine whether you are susceptible to negative influences. If you neglect this self-analysis, you will forfeit your right to attain the object of your desires. You cannot attain anything if you are easily controlled by negative influences. A time will come, and very shortly, where we're going to be answering some very blunt questions. And at that point, you're going to carry out a self-analysis, and you have to be truthful to yourself. You have to answer the questions honestly. Okay, let me skip that. All right. After you read the questions that I just talked about, the questions prepared for this self-analysis, hold yourself to strict account in your answers. Go at the task as carefully as you would search for any other enemy you knew to be waiting to ambush you. And deal with your own faults as you would deal with a more tangible enemy. It is actually easier for you to fight robbers on the highway than for you to fight these enemies. And that is the truth. It is easier for you to fight a physical enemy, a human being, probably, that you can see, than to fight this enemy that is deeply rooted within. So you need to prepare your mind. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of truth. You tell yourself the truth. It takes a lot of courage for you to be able to fight this enemy within. The enemy outside can be easily fought than this enemy within. Sometimes this enemy enters the mind through the well-meant words of one's relatives or even one's good friends, maybe our mentors, people that we so much love. At other times, it bursts from within through one's own mental attitude. Always, it is as deadly as poison, even though it may not kill as quickly. That is to say, anybody who is poverty stricken is carrying poison around by the nature of their mental attitude. Their minds are poisoned, and that is why they cannot break free from poverty. So, for you to break free from poverty, from failure, from any negative circumstance, your mind needs to be made right. So, the moment you answer these questions, you have to be truthful to yourself, whether you are guilty of any of them or not. If you cannot answer these questions truthfully, then you may need the help of somebody else who knows you very well, right? To help you. Recognize that these negative influences all often work on your mind or on you through your subconscious mind. And they are very, very difficult to detect. So keep your mind closed against all people who depress or discourage you in any way. That should be your starting point. No matter who the person is. Yes, no matter who the person is. Because just like we just read, even your own relatives who mean well for you can fall in this category. They can negatively influence you without them even knowing that they're influencing you negatively. So if you're not in the habit of shutting your mind against negative influences, you're going to accept all sorts into your mind. So let's do this self-analysis, and there are a lot of questions here that you need to answer. So I'm going to go over them as quickly as I can. So I need you to be very, very attentive. So self-analysis test questions. Do you often complain of feeling bad? If so, what is the cause? Do you find fault with other people at the slightest provocation? Do you frequently make mistakes in your work? If so, why? Are you sarcastic and offensive in your conversation? Do you deliberately avoid the association of anyone? If so, why? Do you suffer frequently with indigestion? If so, what is the cause? Does life seem futile and the future hopeless to you? If so, why? Do you like your occupation? Do you like your occupation? If not, why? If you don't like your occupation, why don't you like it? Be truthful to yourself. Do you often feel self-pity? If so, why? Are you envious of those who excel you? Those who are doing better than you? Are you envious of them? To which do you devote most time? Thinking of success or failure? Me, I think of success. I devote more time to success. Are you gaining or losing confidence as you grow older? Do you learn something of value from all mistakes? Are you permitting some relative or acquaintance to worry you? If so, why? Are you sometimes in the clouds, you're happy, you're excited, and at other times in the depths of despondency, of depression, of sadness, as in just this minute you're excited, you're happy, you're optimistic about life, and the next minute you're sad and depressed? Does that happen to you? Who has the most inspiring influence upon you? What is the cause? Do you tolerate negative or discouraging influences that you can avoid? Are you careless of your personal appearance? Do you look anyhow? You don't pay attention to your look? If so, when and why? Have you learned how to drown your troubles by being too busy to be annoyed by them? Would you call yourself a spineless weakling if you permitted others to do your thinking for you? Do you neglect internal bathing until auto intoxication makes you ill-tempered and irritable? How many preventable disturbances annoy you? And why do you tolerate them? If they annoy you, why do you keep tolerating them? Do you resort to liquor, narcotics, or cigarettes to quiet your nerves? If so, why do you not try willpower instead? Does anyone nag you? If so, for what reason? Do you have a definite major purpose? And if so, what is it? And what plan have you for achieving it? Do you suffer from any of the 6 basic fears? Let me remind you of the 6 basic fears. Fear of poverty, the fear of old age, the fear of ill health, the fear of the loss of love, the fear of death. What's the last one? Fear of poverty. I'm trying to see if I can remember. Fear of poverty. If you remember, type it. I don't want to go back to check. Fear of poverty, fear of old age, fear of ill health, fear of loss of love, fear of death, fear of criticism. Thank you. Yes, I remember. Fear of criticism. Do you suffer from any of this? Thank you. If so, which ones? Have you a method by which you can shield yourself against the negative influence of others? Do you make deliberate use of auto-suggestion to make your mind positive? Which do you value most? Your material possessions or your privilege of controlling your own thoughts? Do others easily influence you against your own judgment? Has today added anything of value to your stock of knowledge or state of mind? Do you face squarely the circumstances that make you unhappy? Or you sidestep the responsibility? Do you analyze all mistakes and failures and try to profit by them? Or do you take the attitude that this is not your duty? Can you name 3 of your most damaging weaknesses? I want you to quickly think about that. I'll give you 5 seconds. Can you name 3 of your most damaging weaknesses? Think about these 3 most damaging weaknesses that you know are operating in your life. If it's taking you too long, more than 5 seconds to identify the 3, it means that probably the weaknesses are not strong enough. Okay, now that you have identified them, what are you doing to correct them? Do you encourage other people to bring their worries to you for sympathy? Do you choose from your daily experiences, lessons, or influences that aid in your personal advancements? Does your presence have a negative influence on other people? What habits of other people annoy you the most? Do you form your own opinions or permit yourself to be influenced by other people? Have you learned how to create a mental state of mind with which you can shield yourself against all discouraging influences? Does your occupation inspire you with faith and hope? Are you conscious of possessing spiritual forces of sufficient power to enable you to keep your mind free from all forms of fear? Does your religion help you to keep your own mind positive? Do you feel it's your duty to share other people's worries? If so, why? If you believe that birds of a feather flock together, what have you learned about yourself by studying the friends that you attract? What connection, if any, do you see between the people with whom you associate most closely, and any unhappiness you may experience? Is there any connection between the people you associate with and the unhappiness that you're experiencing? Are they causing you unhappiness? That's what this question is asking. The people that you associate with, the people you are connected with, do they bring you sadness? Do they bring you sorrow? Do they make you unhappy? Could it be possible that some person you consider to be a friend is in reality your worst enemy because of their negative influence on your mind? I hope you are taking in these questions. If you don't have this book, by what rules do you judge who is helpful to you and who is damaging you? Are your intimate associates mentally superior or inferior to you? Now listen to this. This has multiple answers to pick from. How much time out of every 24 hours do you devote to, number one, your occupation, number two, sleep, number three, play and relaxation, number four, as acquiring useful knowledge, number five, plain waste? This is the next question. Who among your acquaintances encourages you most? Who among them cautions you most? Who among them discourages you most? Who among them helps you most in other ways? What is your greatest worry and why do you tolerate it? When others offer you free, unsolicited advice, do you accept it without question or you analyze their motive? What above all else do you most desire? Think about this quickly in another 5 seconds. What is that number one thing that you mostly desire in your life? You should be able to say it at the snap of your fingers. If you are still thinking about it, then it shows that the desire is not strong enough. If you ask me now, my own is riches. I want to be wealthy at this point in time. It occupies my entire being. I think of money, I think of riches. At this point in time, it wasn't like that some months back, but at this point in time, over the last few weeks, I desire enormous wealth, stupendous riches, money. So what above all else do you most desire? Do you intend to acquire it? Of course. Are you willing to subordinate all other desires for this one? How much time daily do you devote to acquiring it? Should I tell you? I'll tell you later. I'll tell the members of my mastermind group. Do you change your mind often? If so, why? Do you usually finish everything you begin? I like that. Are you easily impressed by other people's business or professional titles, university degrees, or wealth? Are you easily influenced by what other people think or say of you? Do you cater to people because of their social and financial status? Whom do you believe to be the greatest person living? In what respect is this person superior to you? Now, we've come to the end of the questions. How much time have you devoted to studying and answering these questions? Well, because I just read them now. So you need to come back again. The author says at least one day is necessary for analyzing and answering the entire list. So in case you don't have the book, you may want to get it. You sit down with those questions and then you answer them truthfully. If you cannot answer them truthfully, call on somebody that you truly respect and trust and let them ask you why you answer them honestly. All right. If you have answered all these questions truthfully, you know more about yourself than the majority of people. Study the questions carefully. Come back to them once each week for several months. You will be astounded at the amount of valuable additional knowledge you will have gained by the simple method of answering the questions truthfully. If you are not certain of the answers, is it my network or yours, Mr. Kolawole? Can you hear me, everybody? Or am I talking to myself? Can anybody hear me? Before I carry on. Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Ketriko. All right. So you need to ask yourself these questions at least once in a week for several months, and you'll be so amazed at the valuable knowledge that you will gain by answering the questions truthfully. If you are not certain of the answers to some of the questions, seek counsel of those who know you well. Thank you. Especially those who have no motive in flattering you, those who can look you straight in the eyes and tell you the bitter truth, as bitter leaf. And you see yourself through their eyes. You have absolute control over one thing. Even if you don't have absolute control over everything else, you have absolute control over one thing, and that is your thoughts. You have absolute control. You should know that already, that you have absolute control over your thoughts. This is the most significant and inspiring of all known facts. It reflects your divine nature. This divine prerogative is the sole means by which you may control your own destiny. To control your thoughts, to control your mind, is to control your destiny, is to control your life. And that is the fact. If you fail to control your own mind, you may be sure you will control nothing else. If you cannot control your mind, then you cannot control anything. You cannot control anybody. If you must be careless with your own possessions, as in your mind, if you must be careless with your own possessions, if you must be careless with anything, let it be material things. You can choose to be careless with your phone. You can choose to be careless with your shoes. You can choose to be careless with your money. Let it be material things that you can always replace. My phone went bad, like, was it in July? August, September, like 3 months ago. And it stopped working, you know. This is a new phone that I am using. I tried to repair it. By the time I heard how much would be used to repair it, I thought to myself, what if I add some money to this and buy a new phone? So by the next day, I bought a new phone. So any material thing can be replaced. If you're tired of your phone today, you go for iPhone 16, right? To be like, let me give this one to my brother. Or maybe you are using one phone that you don't value and then you just throw it anywhere. Or maybe you have two phones, one Nokia 3310 and one iPhone 16. And then a Nokia 3310, because you just use it to put one extra SIM to record, to receive some special calls. You just throw it anywhere you like. You can be careless with your material things, even your house, even your car. You may decide to go somewhere and not lock your car and then park it by the roadside because you know that you have insurance on it. Even if they steal it or they break into it, it can be replaced. But your mind is your spiritual estate. You cannot afford to be careless with your mind. Do you know the title of this chapter? Let me remind you. It is called The Devil's Workshop. If the devil can creep into your mind, then it has crept into your life. People who carry out criminal activities, they opened up their minds to the devil, and the devil crept in and influences them. And this devil may not appear in black face with, a malicious laughter and all of that. It may come through somebody that is so much respect, their relative, that good friend, that neighbor that is so kind. These are the influences we are talking about. You cannot afford to open up your mind to just anybody. You have to guard it jealously. If you buy iPhone 16 today with millions, I'm sure that you will guard it so jealously. You will not even want your child to touch it. If you can do that to your material things, if somebody scratches your car, if you are driving in traffic, you're going to park there and then and come down and say, Mr. Man, what's the matter? What? Especially if it's a new car, if it is not a car that has been scratched so many times. If it is a new car that you're just trying to protect, my car is shining, you will calm down. You'll be so mad. You will shout. You will do all. If you can do that to a material thing, then your mind is much more valuable. It is your spiritual estate. You cannot allow just anybody, no matter who they are, even if your spouse is trying to influence you negatively, because there is nobody that the devil cannot use. Just like he used Eve to deceive Adam. Take it from that point. The woman that was brought out of his own rib, bone of his bone and flesh of his flesh. Eve had opened up her mind to the devil. The devil crept in and then used that to influence her husband, Adam. Look at where they landed. So you must really, really be careful. Don't say, it's my wife. Don't say, it's my husband. They may not even realize what they're doing at that point in time. They may think that they are helping you. They may not know. It's not that they mean bad for you. They don't. So you guard your mind jealously. Where are we? He said your mind is your spiritual estate. Protect and use it with the care to which divine royalty is entitled. You were given a willpower for this purpose. Exercise your willpower to beat up another person, not to oppress somebody else. Don't use your willpower for criminal activities. Don't use your willpower in that which will not profit you. Use your willpower to protect your mind, to guard it jealously, to say, no, I am going to be rich. I'm going to start this business. I am going back to school. I will not marry that man that I already know is not kind, just because people are asking me to marry him because of his money. Use your willpower. I know somebody that is a bit close to me. She's regretting her marriage today because somebody, her family member, told her to marry the husband that she is married to today, even though she had somebody else that she wanted to marry at that point, somebody that she truly loved. But they told her, if you marry this person that you claim to love, we're not going to support you. We will not drop any money for your wedding. This is the person we want you to marry. So she did their bidding. She was influenced. And today, she's not even looking good physically. The husband has married another wife. She's now living in a polygamous home. She can do little or nothing about it. She's physically emaciated. You can see worry written over her. Somebody that used to be lively and everything. She's now like a shadow of herself because she did not exercise her willpower. What is money? If only she was bold enough to say, if you won't support my marriage, no problem. And then these people will eventually change their minds later on when they see that, it's like this girl does not want to dance to our tunes. They may fight her, they may not talk to her. But eventually, who is bearing the brunt now in the marriage? She's the one. So don't compromise. Don't what's that word? She's not compromise, I want to say. Don't be sentimental with your life. It is your destiny. Unfortunately, there is no legal protection against those who mislead us, who influence us negatively. Like the story I just told you now, there is nothing she can do about those people. They are living their own lives. She cannot drag them to court. There is no evidence to that effect. People with negative minds tried to convince Thomas A. Edison that he could not build a machine that will record and reproduce the human voice, because they said no one has ever produced such a machine. Edison did not believe them. He knew that the mind could produce anything that the mind could conceive and believe. Take it. Your mind can produce anything your mind can conceive and believe. That is all you need for you to be a star, for you to be rich. Your mind. It starts with your mind, your thoughts. And that knowledge was the thing that lifted him above the common herd. Men with negative minds told F.W. Woolworth he would go broke trying to run a store on 5 and 10 cent sales. He did not believe them. He knew he could do anything within reason if he backed up his plans with faith, exercising his right to keep other men's negative suggestions out of his mind. He piled up a fortune of more than $100 million. I have shopped in Woolworth stores so many times. It is not a store for a poor man. It is not. There are other competing stores that poor men can go to. They have grocery stores, they have clothing stores where they sell clothes, where they sell shoes, where they sell all kinds of wares. You know, they have different kinds of stores. There are competing stores who sell cheaper things. Those who are very poor, they will go to that down because they cannot afford Woolworth. Men with negative minds told George Washington he could not hope to win against the vastly superior forces of the British, but he exercised his divine right to believe. Doubting Thomases scoffed scornfully when Henry Ford tried out his first crudely built automobile on the streets of Detroit. Some said the thing would never become practical. Others said no one would pay money for such a contraption. Henry Ford said, "I'll belt the earth with dependable motor cars." And he did. His decision to trust his own judgment piled up a fortune far greater than the next 5 generations of his descendants could squander. Even if the 5 generations after him decide to be spending money anyhow, they cannot finish the money that Henry Ford, the fortune that he had built, they cannot. Let's even say they are reckless spenders. They cannot. Because Ford cars are still in circulation till now. They are still manufacturing till now. Can you beat that? What if he had listened to them? He would have died an ordinary man. His name has been mentioned several times in this book. There is a statement to that. The author says Henry Ford has been repeatedly mentioned because he is an astounding example of what someone with a mind of their own and a will to control it can accomplish. His record knocks the foundation from under the time-worn alibi. I'm speaking passionately like this because this is speaking to me and I want it to speak to you. Somebody came under one of my videos on TikTok and the person said, "I truly desire to be creating content. I truly want to do what I love. I love content creation, but I am afraid of what my husband's people would say if they see their wife on TikTok." And I laughed. I said, this person still lacks maturity. You're afraid of what your husband's people will say when you are doing what you so much love. It means they are stealing your destiny from you. They are stealing your life from you. That is what it means. If you cannot live your life to the fullest, as in your good life, I'm not talking of you doing something shameful now or criminal activity. That's which you so believe in. To exercise your passion, to follow your heart, because of what anybody will say. And I replied that I said, what did I even say? I remember a part of what I said. I said, I hope they are also afraid of you to the point that they cannot also do what they love. Because if you are the only one afraid, you are the only one afraid of them, then the equation is not balanced. You are robbing yourself. You are shortchanging yourself. I wanted to write there that hope they are giving you enough money to make you forget about your dream and your passion. If they give you lots of money and you're enjoying, but the person I saw did not look like somebody that is living in affluence. She doesn't know what immense opportunities could come to her through content creation by doing what she loves doing. And then she's there. She has eventually paid for my content creation training that is coming up on Saturday. She has eventually paid. I was even surprised. Maybe my comments hit her. Sometimes you just need somebody to tell you the bitter truth for you to come back to your senses. Like, these people that I'm even afraid of, have they ever even given me any money? They go about living their normal lives. I'm here being afraid of them. What a mentality. She has paid, though, and I'm happy for her. Please, if you are here, you belong in this category. Just liberate yourself. It is a sign of immaturity if you are always afraid of what people would say or think of you when you are pursuing your passion. It is a sign of immaturity. There's a question here that says, are you confident of yourself as you grow older? If your answer is no, then you are not growing. Maybe growing in height and weight and stature in age, but you are not maturing spiritually, mentally, psychologically. You're not. So we're talking about Henry Ford. His record knocks the foundation from under the time of alibi. He didn't say, oh, I never had a chance. Ford never had a chance either. This is what some people would say, I never had a chance. We're going to go through a list of alibis. Sorry, you permit me if we extend longer this night, but it won't be more than 10 minutes longer. This is the last chapter, and I really want us to do justice to it. Ford never had a chance, just like so many other people, but he created an opportunity and backed it up with persistence until it made him richer than Croesus. Mind control is the result of self-discipline. He that has no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls, no boundaries. You permit anything. You are like thank you, Mr. Adekunle. You're like a city that is broken down. If you live in a house that has no fence, anybody can come into your compound and steal and break into your house. You have no security guard at the gate. You don't have fence. You don't have a padlock. You need to put a padlock to your mind. Then you open it once in a while to maybe one person in 1 month. One person that will tell you the truth. One person that will give you a positive advice. You open it. As soon as that advice is done entering, you lock it, like you will protect your house or your most prized possession. Then you will lock it. You go and keep the key somewhere where even your children or your spouse will not even see it, so that they will not come and open the padlock to your mind in the night when you are sleeping. It is as serious as that. So you control your mind. Mind control is the result of self-discipline and habits. You either control your mind or it controls you. There is no halfway compromise. The most practical of all methods for controlling your mind is the habit of keeping it busy. I wonder. The habit of keeping it busy with a definite purpose. So if you don't have a definite purpose, you are going to be easily influenced by anybody. Know where you are going, know what you want. Before you sleep this night, if you are not sure already, go and write it down. Be reading it morning and night before you go to bed, morning when you wake up. Write it down. Write it down. Be saying it out loud. I want to be rich. I want to be the most educated in my family. I want to build a global business. Write it down and be saying it. And you spell it out. Don't just say, I want to build a global business. I want to build a global fashion business worth $100 billion by December 2029. These are the specifics that you're going to give to your dream, to your desire and your passion. It is very important too. This is the starting point. There is no shortcut to this thing. It is hard work. To protect your mind is hard work. I want to be rich. I want to be rich. It is hard work. It is not going to come easy. Because some people just feel that it's easier said than done. It's easier, we know it's easier said than done. Start doing it. As hard as it may be to be done, start doing it. At least try it. So you back up your purpose, your definite purpose, with a definite plan. You work harder. You've been sleeping for 10 hours. You reduce it by 2 hours, so that you can use that 2 hours to read a book on business, how to build a global business. You devote that 2 hours to listening to messages in line with the kind of business that you want to build, to attend book reviews, or to just sit down and think and be writing down your thoughts and your ideas. It takes intentionality. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't come cheap. You deny yourself of some things. Everybody is saying, let's hang out on Friday night. You will say, no, I'm sorry, I cannot go. You use that time. You use that time to plan and prepare and focus on your goal. Thank you. I needed to emphasize that. Study the record of people who have achieved noteworthy success. You will observe that they have control over their own minds. Moreover, that they exercise that control and direct it towards the attainment of definite objectives. Without this control, success is not possible. Now, I want to look at 55 famous alibis. Alibis means excuses. Excuses, 55 famous excuses that people give themselves. People who do not succeed have one distinguishing trait in common. They know all the reasons for failure. They know all the reasons why something will not work. And they have what they believe to be airtight alibis. They have airtight excuses, unshakable excuses, as in it is like a strong belief system to them. They have all these excuses to explain away their own lack of achievement. Some of these alibis are clever. Some of them are even justifiable. They are valid. Somebody that was born into abject poverty, for example, is it not a valid excuse if the person failed in life? It is a valid excuse to say, oh, I was born into an unfortunate situation. Naturally, I am at a disadvantage. It's justifiable, right? Good. But alibis cannot be used for money. The world wants to know only one thing. Have you achieved success? It is either a yes or a no. If you have achieved success, they tilt towards you. The world only wants to know something. Do you have money? Do you know what you're going? Where you're going? I beg your pardon. Are you a great person in life? These are the languages that the world understands. Nothing else. Go and watch how people worship those who have money, those who are in possession of material things, whether they even get it through legal means or not. As long as you have money, as long as it's a successful person, people will tell you, Rankadede, all hail the king. They will lick your feet. That is how powerful money is. That is how powerful success is. That is the language that the world understands. Have you achieved success? What can they see in your life that will make them to want to close to you or listen to you when you talk? It is either you have it or you don't have it. There's nothing. A character analyst compiled a list of the most commonly used alibis, excuses. As you read the list, examine yourself carefully and determine how many of these alibis, if any, are your own property. And you begin to trade with this property. So the number one, I'm just going to go over them quickly. These are the excuses that people make. If only I didn't have a wife and family. If only I had enough pool. If only I had money. If only I had a good education. If only I could get a job. If only if only I had good health. If only I had time. If only times were better. If only other people understood me. If only conditions around me were different. If only I could live my life over again. If only I did not fear what they would say. If only I had been given a chance. If only I now had a chance. If only other people didn't have it in for me. If only nothing happened to stop me. If only I were younger. If only I could do what I want. If only I had been born rich. If only I could meet the right people. If only I had the talent some people have. If only I dared assert myself. If only I had embraced past opportunities. If only people didn't get on my nerves. If only I didn't have to keep house and look after the children. This one. If only I could save some money. If only the boss appreciated me. If only I had somebody to help me. If only my family understood me. If only I lived in a big city. If only I could just get started. If only I were free. If only I had the personality of some people. If only I were not so fat. If only my talents were known. If only I could just get a break. If only I could get out of debt. If only I hadn't failed. If only I knew how. If only everybody didn't oppose me. If only I didn't have so many worries. If only I could marry the right person. If only people weren't so dumb. If only my family were not so extravagant. If only I were sure of myself. If only luck were not against me. If only I had not been born under the wrong star. If only it were not true that what is to be will be. If only I did not have to work so hard. If only I didn't lost my money. If only I lived in a different neighborhood. If only I didn't have a past. If only I had a business of my own. If only other people would listen to me. If only, and this is the greatest of them all, I had the courage to see myself as I really am. I would find out what is wrong with me and correct it. Then I might have a chance to profit by my mistakes and learn something from the experiences of others. I know there is something wrong with me. I would not, or I would now be where I would have been if I had spent more time analyzing my weaknesses and less time building alibis to cover them. If only, if only, if only, if only I was not a Nigerian. If only another. See, let me not even go there. You said that one on being a Nigerian. Let me not go there. Otherwise, we'll sleep here tonight. Building alibis with which to explain away failure is a habit as old as the human race. From time immemorial, people have been given excuses. That's why we keep having poor people on the surface of the earth. Because more people will be born who will keep giving excuses. And it's fatal to success. Why do people cling to these pet alibis? They've taken it as a pet. You know how you take care of a pet dog, a puppy, or a cat, and be romancing it and be, that's the way they've taken these excuses as pets. It has become a part and parcel of them. It will take a great effort, and it will start from them to disabuse their minds from these alibis. The answer is obvious. They defend their own alibis because they create them. An alibi is the child of one's own imagination, and it is human nature to defend one's own brain child. It is terrible, yeah. Building alibis, excuses, is a deeply rooted habit. Habits are difficult to break, especially when they provide justification for something we do. If only I wasn't a Nigerian, with these leaders that we have that don't care. Let the person go to America and see what they will do. There are people in America that have alibis too. At least the author is an American or was an American. The person that wrote these 55 alibis was an American. So it means that they picked these alibis from Americans, more or less. As blessed as we think America is, there are people there. Is there everybody there that is successful? I was at a bus park sometime in America, and somebody approached me. Oh, can I get $2 there? Can I get $2? I was at the train station. People sleep inside the train station. If you enter the train in New York, it smells of urine. The first time I entered when I was in New York, if they had closed my eyes and dropped me there, I would think that I was in Oshodi in Lagos, Nigeria. I tell you the truth. It was early in the morning. Come and see people standing, holding, you'll be touching one another like this. No space. Everywhere was smelling because people sleep in the train overnight. They pee there, they poo there. In fact, you will see those people that sleep there, that wear rags and smelly, homeless people who sleep in there. They will sit inside the train with you sometimes. If you are coming back in the evening, when they roamed around town, you see them inside the train. So America, there are no gold on the streets of America. There are poor people there. Somebody had approached me in the UK too. A woman, well dressed. Can I get £1? Can I get £1? So don't deceive yourself. Success is a function of your personality. It is a function of your individuality. It is not about where you were born. It is not a function of the parents that gave birth to you or your country of origin. It is a function of your individuality, of your mindset, of you yourself want to, of who you yourself want to be. Nothing can limit you if you don't limit yourself. Let them throw you in France. Let them throw you in the richest country, Luxembourg, that is believed to be one of the most resourced countries today. Let them throw you there. If you don't have the capacity for success, if your mindset is backward, there's nothing you can do. That's the truth. Building alibis is a deeply rooted habit. Habits are difficult to break. You provide justification for them. Plato had this truth in mind when he said, the first and best victory is to conquer self. To be conquered by self is of all things the most shameful and vile. If yourself can conquer you, then I don't know. What are you going to do? But if you're able to conquer self, if you're able to conquer a negative mindset, then you have conquered all. Another philosopher had the same thought in mind when he said, it was a great surprise to me when I discovered that the most of all the ugliness I saw in others was but a reflection of my own nature. If you see negativity in other people, check yourself. There's so much negativity in you. If you see failure, if you see all kinds of negative things in other people, if you never see anything good in anything, in any situation, in anybody, check yourself. What you are seeing is a reflection of yourself. So you have to conquer self if you want to be victorious, but it is hard to do so. You need a lot of self-discipline to do that. Now let's take the final words of the author. In passing, I would remind you that life is a draft board and the player opposite you is time. If you hesitate before moving or neglect to move promptly, your draft will be wiped off the board by time. You are playing against a partner who will not tolerate indecision. In front of you is time. There is no time for dilly-dallying. There is no time for indecision. You want to use 5 years to make up your mind on something. When will you now take action? Previously, you may have had a logical excuse for not having forced life to come through with whatever you asked. However, that alibi is now obsolete, is now old, because you are in possession of the master key that unlocks the door to life's bountiful riches. The master key is intangible, but it is powerful. A burning desire. Do you remember at the beginning of this book, in the preface, the author kept on saying that you need one ingredient, one most important ingredient to succeed. That if you are attentive, you are going to find it. I think he said that word is mentioned, is it like 100 times or 1,000 times in this book? That some people will find it in the first chapter, some will find it in the last chapter. May I tell you at this juncture that ingredient is a burning desire. That is the ingredient you need to succeed. It is a burning desire. Everything else surrounds it. Your faith, your plan, your action, your definite purpose, your hope, you eliminating fear. They all come under a burning desire. It is only when you have a burning desire that you can be determined, that you can now push for what you want, even though it is not coming when you expect it. It is that burning desire that will keep you going. That is all you need for success, a burning desire. And people can feel it. So you need a burning desire for a definite form of riches. There is no penalty for the use of this key, but there is a price you must pay if you do not use it. The price is failure. There is a reward for stupendous proportions if you put the key to use. It is the satisfaction that comes to all who conquer self and force life to pay whatever is asked. You force life. This life that you force it to deliver to you that which you want. Life is impartial. It is whatever you demand of life that life will give to you. Life is a just employer. We've read it in a previous chapter. It is a just employer. You ask for a one-bedroom apartment with a car, with, good food, morning, afternoon, night. That is all you want to be fulfilled. That is what life will give to you. But you want to be a blessing to the world. You want to command riches. You want to be wealthy in no small measure. You want to accumulate great riches. You demand that of life with your action, with your burning desire. Life will give it to you. Take it from me. I'm telling you from my own experience that some things that are dear in this life that I had a burning desire for, and I got them. So take it from me. Nothing can stop you. If you have a desire, nobody can stop you. But if you don't use your burning desire, the price is failure. It is the satisfaction that comes to all who conquer self and force life to pay whatever is asked. The reward is worthy of your effort. It will be worth it in the end. It's not going to be easy. You will have to fight, but it is a good fight. But at the end of the day, imagine you living stupendous riches for several generations after you. Imagine. They will never forget great grandpa. They will never forget you. Do you think that the great grandchildren of Henry Ford will forget him? Never. They will not forget him. They did not see him. They did not, but they will. In fact, some of them will have his pictures in their room. That grandpa secured this kind of enormous wealth for us so many years before we were born. We are so proud of him. What a right thinking man. What a blessed man. Thank you, God, for blessing us with such a great grandfather. No. Leave sentiment aside. There are some things that you need in life. If a poor man dies, they will say, we regret to announce the death of Mr. Columbus Tijani. But if a rich man dies, they will say with gratitude to God Almighty, we announce the transition into glory of our father, our uncle, our beloved brother. Why? They are announcing his transition. It's the only transition. They are announcing it. They do not regret to announce it. The one that they regret to announce is the one that has borrowed money. The children are now going to start contributing to pay off the money. But we announce, he has gone on to be with them because he has left beautiful things for them to enjoy. But it will be worth it in the end. If we are related, said the immortal Emerson, we shall meet. Now, this is the closing statement of the author. In closing, may I borrow his thoughts and say, if we are related, we have, through the pages of this book, met. So all of us have met Napoleon Hill. We didn't know him. I didn't know him before reading this book, but we have all met him by reading this book. So let us keep his memory by keeping his advice, the words of wisdom that is shared in this book. We have come to the end of Think and Grow Rich, but it doesn't mean this is the last time that we have to read it. This is a book that you read and read over again until your burning desire is unshakable, until it is immovable, until there can be no negative influence that will make you change your mind from going after that which you believe in. And I want to tell you this, it is possible. Nothing can limit you. There is no obstacle. If you don't limit yourself, nothing, absolutely nothing, nobody can limit you. I want us to do great things together. I want us to be successful together. I want us to meet at the top. Don't let the time for this review be a waste. Put it to good use. You may even go on sleepless nights tonight and ruminate over everything. Be truthful to yourself. What do I really want out of life? Do you want to pass through this life without any mark? Like a snake would pass on a mountain and leave any mark and leave no mark behind. Thank you so much. I'm so passionate about this because even me, I'm so angry with poverty. I hate to be broke. I hate lack. I hate failure. So this passion is for me. I'm sorry if it comes across somehow to you. I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It is the way I'm feeling about it. That's the way I'm expressing myself. Because I rather feel like this about, success and failure than to now be feeling like this about what does not matter in life. I'm sorry, but we've come to the end. Thank you so much for joining. You have been joining from the beginning. Thank you. God bless you. Tomorrow, we're going to start with the review of Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. That is another fantastic book, and you don't want to miss it. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like this video if you have not liked it already. Don't forget to drop all of your comments. Thank you for all the comments in the chat box. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you have not yet subscribed. I remain Olaide Agbaje, also known as First Lady, and on this channel, I inspire you to live intentionally. And on this note, I am confident to say that you can now think and grow rich. So go in that power, go in that knowledge, go in that understanding, engage your thoughts, and become rich. God bless you. I love you all. Bye. We'll meet tomorrow. Don't forget, Rich Dad Poor Dad. 9:30 p.m. West African time or Nigerian time. Bye.